Leaving 851, turn right, heading 180. Order 14 Papa, turn right 245, report localizer established 27.
Was ANA, or All Nippon Airways, ordering the Airbus A380 a good move? Today, I'll examine just that. I'll be doing this through analysing the purpose of the A380 in regards to ANA, to the growth of specific routes, and to the other options the airline had available. Hi everyone, I'm xXTrainSpotterHDXx, and I'd like to welcome you back to either another video of mine or maybe your first. I hope you do all enjoy it. Before I properly begin, I know this sort of subject can be a little touchy with the fierce Airbus vs Boeing debate and rivalry, so instead of giving my opinion on it at the end of the video if it was the right choice or not, I'll just stick to, as I mentioned before, purely analysing and letting you decide if you thought it was the right move or the wrong move. I will also be monitoring the comments just to make sure no fights break out, as I've noticed that can certainly happen when in some way, shape or form the Airbus vs Boeing debate is mentioned. So nevertheless, now I have finished all the formal things, I can get straight into discussing some of the motivations and if this was the right move by ANA. So the first thing we should analyse is why they ordered the A380. There are actually quite a few reasons. One that was used by ANA Holdings, a parent company to ANA, in a statement was as follows. The A380 allows us to efficiently expand seating capacity at a lower cost per seat, while offering a flexible range of cabin classes. This pretty much details a key reason why the A380 was chosen. Even if at this stage the order is just for 3 aircraft, that can still make a difference to any carrier. Especially with the ever-growing market, it has already been estimated thousands of new aircraft are going to be needed in Asia. A way to combat this for some carriers is larger aircraft like the A380, like the 747, like the 777. And this is why Airbus believed a trade mission to China was the perfect move, because they saw the demand for more aircraft to be sold like their A380. And while during this trade mission no deals for the A380 were confirmed, at least they had ANA order the aircraft a few years back. Before I move on to the next reason why the A380 was a factor in regards to the previous point, I'm just going to read out what the Airbus President and Chief Executive Officer had to say when the order was originally confirmed. As one of the world's most prestigious airlines, ANA Group will be able to benefit from the A380's proven operating economics and passenger appeal. We are confident that the A380 will play an important role in the success of ANA HD's new business strategy. The A380 will help ANA Group overcome capacity constraints at Tokyo's busy airports, transporting more passengers more efficiently and in greater comfort, all at a lower cost. This extract can detail even better some of the benefits of ANA ordering the aircraft and ultimately shaping your decision to whether or not this was a good idea. Another motivation is route growth, specifically on flights from Japan to Hawaii. This market is constantly growing, and as I mentioned in a previous video, has multiple carriers from around the world already operating through this route, all battling for that all-important market share. Delta, Hawaiian, Japan Airlines, China Airlines, Korean, United, and of course ANA, all operate services on this route, which signals the demand right now and also showcases how one slip from just one airline could impact them heavily, as this is a growing market and carriers want to make sure that they have a bit of that market share. Figures show that around 1.5 million Japanese travel between Japan and Hawaii all year round. This means that during every single month, hundreds of thousands of people head to Hawaii, which means there is a need for a high-capacity aircraft. With 4 flights a day alone from ANA, the carrier are certainly putting in work, not only with operating costs, but also having pilots and crew working around the clock to make sure aircraft depart on time with the passengers on board. Something like an A380 can have negative and positive impacts on this route. There are many positives and negatives, as I said, but seeming I've been mainly sticking to the positives, I'll just dive into only one of the positives and then rather a larger negative. That is as follows. Now the carrier right now has 4 or so daily flights. I'm not too sure if that number is completely accurate, but for the video's sake, I'll just stick with the 4. By placing the A380 on this route, you would no doubt free up 4 other aircraft that previously operated the flight. This would allow them to be either now placed on routes with similar demand or sent to new destinations altogether, which ANA see as a potential area that they could grow in and take market share away from other carriers. And this is one of the positives for ANA. But while one daily flight with a number of extra seats is beneficial, it may not actually work. Take a connecting traveller for example. If they are headed from Hawaii to Singapore via Tokyo, that one daily flight offered by ANA has to be placed perfectly for their connecting service. Now, let's say on that A380 flight by ANA, we add a further 10 connecting travellers all headed on different flights to different destinations after they arrive in Tokyo. It can get a little messy. With the original 4 daily flights ANA had on this busy route, it actually allowed not only travellers heading back home or away to have more options in regard to what time they get home, but it was also very important for people who had connections, as it allowed them to connect on with possibly another airline to head to their destination or head back home, which all up gave travellers that little bit of luxury to fly at different times of the day. So could travellers be more inclined to opt with some of the other carriers that serve this route because of the different times? That is a possibility for sure. The next point is market share and the fierce competition ANA face with Japan Airlines. As I just mentioned, market share is a key for multiple carriers. In highly populated areas of the world, airlines are constantly finding ways to compete with each other for that all-important market share, which determines pretty much how much of the market, in brackets passengers, they take out of all that travel that route. At this stage, Japan Airlines are ahead of ANA in terms of the route to Hawaii from Tokyo. Like any situation, ANA have attempted to change this, and this is why the order for the A380 also would have been placed. But will this work? Projections predict that yes, it will. However, could this market share increased on ANA's side still have gone up even if they did not order the A380? This is a fantastic question, as it can really change your opinion on my question drastically. Let's say they placed an order for the A350. At this stage, it's purely 787s operating on the Tokyo to Hawaii route. So there isn't a huge difference in terms of capacity between the A350 and 787. I know there is still a difference, but I'm kind of comparing it to, let's say, a 747 and a 717. So therefore, you could certainly argue that there wouldn't be a huge change. This is why through ANA ordering a quad-jet double-decker plane, they have better chances of overtaking JAL in terms of market share and the amount of passengers they carry. So now I've discussed the route demand and market share in regards to ANA and the A380. I thought I'd take a look now what the A380 actually offers ANA in terms of specifications and possible routes. With a range of 15,200 kilometers or 8,200 nautical miles, this opens up a number of opportunities for ANA in terms of other routes, excluding the Japan to Hawaii service. Even though the A380 has quite a long range, this doesn't mean ANA need to use all of it. The airline also has the 777-9 on order, which can also operate long-range flights along with their 787-9s. What I'm basically trying to say in terms of range is that the A380 can be used mainly for high-demand routes rather than a focus on expansion into other parts of the globe. Because as I mentioned, the Asian Pacific region is going to be needing a number of new planes over the coming decade, and a way to combat that is of course ordering larger aircraft which can carry more passengers. The A380 can carry hundreds of passengers depending on its configuration. So ANA could certainly choose to fit out one of their A380s in an almost full economy layout to maximise passenger numbers on high density routes. The carrier also has 3 further options for the A380, which depending on how the airline believe the A380 has been going, could certainly be activated and then allow them to use those A380s for expansion around the globe. As I said though, All Nippon Airways aren't a carrier that has a very small fleet. Their fleet is very extensive and has a wide variety of long-haul planes already at its disposal. The final point I'd like to make before I conclude the video is the situation at Honolulu. Now at this stage, works are underway to revamp the gate and the international terminal to cope with the huge influx of passengers that the airport will see when ANA starts sending their double-decker plane there. These works were something that occurred at airports around the globe years ago to accommodate the A380 when it was just being introduced. The works will all up cost hundreds of millions around the globe, and as with anything at an airport, even a small fix isn't cheap. These changes are ultimately another factor that could be thought about when you determine if the A380 was the right choice for ANA. This is going to conclude the video. I know this was quite a long one, but I do hope you all enjoyed it. I get quite a few comments often asking me to make these 10+ minute long videos, and I know that they are interesting for the most part. For me, my only difficulty is finding topics that can actually allow me to talk for this long. I do hope, even though I posed a question to you, you were maybe able to learn more about the A380, ANA, market share, and route growth. If you're new to the channel and enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe, I would really appreciate that, and of course hit the like button for more content like this. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Peace.